persons having business before this Superior Court of the Virgin Islands draw near and give attention to the investiture of the Honorable Yvette Ross Edwards as Judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. God save the United States, territory of the Virgin Islands, and this Honorable Court. Please remain standing.
Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. Mr. Chief Justice, may it please the court, welcome everyone to the investiture ceremony of the Honorable Yvette D. Ross Edwards, Esquire. I am Magistrate Judge Ernest Morris, and it's my distinct pleasure this morning to serve as your Master of Ceremonies. First, as your MC, it's my duty to establish protocol. The Oxford Dictionary defines protocol as a system of rules governing a formal occasion. Such rules include how to address members of the audience and in what order. In the essence of time today, we invite all of our speakers to simply adopt the protocol established, very briefly greet all of the listening and viewing audience, and proceed with their remarks. A very special welcome this morning to the Governor of the United States Virgin Islands, the Honorable Albert Bryan Jr., Lieutenant Governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, the Honorable Tregenza A. Roach, Esquire, Senate President of the 35th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Novell E. Francis Jr., and other senators of the 35th Legislature of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Reese S. Hodge, and other justices of the Supreme Court of the Virgin Islands, Presiding Judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Deborah A. Smith Watlington, Administrative Judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Harold W. L. Willocks, judges, magistrate judges, and retired judges of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands, Chief Judge of the District Court of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Robert A. Malloy, judges and magistrate judges of the District Court of the Virgin Islands, Administrator of Courts, Clerk of the Supreme Court of the Virgin Islands, Clerk of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands, and Supreme Court and Superior Court staff, Clerk of the District Court of the Virgin Islands and District Court staff, Sidney Elsko, appearing on behalf of the Commissioner of the Virgin Islands Police Department, the Honorable Ray Martinez, Interim Chief Territorial Public Defender, Julie S. Todman, Esquire, Executive Director of Legal Services of the Virgin Islands, Shelby Gaddy King, Esquire, Immediate Past President of the Virgin Islands Bar Association, Alicia Udwani, Esquire, Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Bar Association, Hinda Carbone, other dignitaries and distinguished guests, family and friends, again, good morning. Please remain standing for the invocation by Reverend Edward Thompson, Chaplain of St. Stephen's Episcopal School, and for the National Anthem and the Virgin Islands March performed by Mr. Samir Simon from the Rising Stars Youth Steel Orchestra.
A brief reading from the book of the prophet Amos. Thus says the Lord, there are those who turn justice into bitterness and cast righteousness to the ground. There are those who hate the one who upholds justice in court and detest the one who tells the truth. There are those who oppress the innocent and take bribes and deprive the poor of justice in the courts. I despise your religious festivals. Your assemblies are a stench to me. Even though you bring me burnt offerings and grant offerings, I will not accept them. Though you bring choice fellowship offerings, I will have no regard for them. Away with the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the music of your harps, but let justice roll down like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. the word of the Lord. Let us pray. Almighty God, who sits on the throne judging right, we humbly pray you to bless the courts of justice and the magistrates in these Virgin Islands. Give to all judges and all who work in the judicial system the spirit of wisdom and understanding, that they may discern the truth and impartially administer the law in fear of you alone. Today we come with your servant, our sister Yvette, who comes seeking your face, wondering and hoping that this is your call on her life. Grant to her the wisdom of Solomon, the courage of Joan of Arc, the integrity of Joseph. Grant her compassion, strength, and resolve to be fair and to be seen as fair. Help her family, O God, as they seek to support her and her staff who assist her. Grant to us all a love of fairness and justice, even when it isn't particularly favorable to us personally. Grant all of these our prayers, O God, through him who shall never come, who shall always come to be our judge, your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
At this time, we welcome to the podium for opening remarks Administrative Judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Harold L.L. I'm sorry, Harold W.L. Willocks.
Oh, extra large. Good morning. I always seem to fall off to a short person. I have to adjust the mic. Well, I would be unlike me and say it's a great day to be among great people, but then that sounds mushy and everybody know that's really not me. So I'll just proceed into my regular self. You know, I'm going to ask once again for indulgence. I usually speak less than 3 minutes, but today I'm going to try and do 5 or 6. And Governor, good morning. Chief Justice, good morning. Senate President, good morning. Protocol having been established. I used to have a rock up there that says squeeze when hard. It used to be a big rock. It's a small stone now. You know, it says, I think, squeeze when angry. If you see it and I go beyond, you can simply throw it in my direction so I can know that I've gone beyond the 5 or 6 minutes. It's supposed to be someplace up there. I don't know if they hit it or what. But, you know, we have to realize that judges are public servants, just like the governor, just like the senators, commissioners. We are, that's what we are. Some people may say we're glorified public servants, but we are public servants. And as such, you know, we are pretty much subjected to the same things as any public servant. But the difference is that, unlike those in the Senate, the executive branch, when we get criticized, mostly unfairly, we're unable to respond because it's frowned upon for judges, and when I say judges, I include justices, magistrates. It's looked at unfavorably for the judges to respond. And I'll give you a very, and these are true things. I'll give you a very quick example. Many, many years ago, I can't even remember what administration it was. It's not even important. One of my things I did when working on opinions was to listen to the talk show. I did that because it was hard to find a radio station that would play Afro-Cuban music and bluegrass music at the same time, so I ended up listening to talk show. And I'm sitting there, and I mean, they're really tearing up into the administration. And it's not this administration, I just can't recall, so please, bear with me. It was an administration, I can't recall which one. And they're tearing into the administration. Oh, they're corrupt. And I'm like, yeah. And the senators are corrupt. I'm like, And then the Senate judges are corrupt. I raised my head because no, it's personal. I'm like, what? So now, you know, I leave my keyboard. I'm saying, what? And then there's this ripple effect. And everyone forgot about the executive branch. They forgot about the legislative branch. And they focused on the judges. And calls are coming in, and, you know, the judges are. And then someone called in and mentioned a case, or the facts of the case. Yes, and that judge, oh, you know, he's in the governor's pocket. No, the fact sounds very familiar, and I said to myself, that's my case. And then, you know, I think on it, and I'm like, well, you know, I have this real silly habit. My imagination runs away with me. So when he said, yes, and that judge is in the governor's pocket, I look at myself, and I imagine, it's like, sorry. And I quickly came back to reality. I said, what is he talking about? And I thought about it. I'm listening to, I said, but wait a minute. I ruled in his favor. He won the case. And it brought me back to reality is that, you know, when, you know, we judges have perhaps the most hard task because we administer the law. And the law can be very confusing for people who have no knowledge of the law or layperson. And yes, for attorneys too. It can be very confusing. Oh boy, it can be very confusing. But, you know, and we as a people, West Indian people, many times when we don't understand something, or when we think something, we don't understand it, we don't really agree with it, we resort to the one thing that is common among us, the one thing that makes everything logical, and that would be mele. You know, once we as a people do not understand, we don't agree with it, we just say, okay, and we make up, and the truth has, as you know, nothing to do with mele. It is just our way of saying, we don't like you, we don't agree with it, and we can just talk bad about you. And I say that because for the past couple of years, even in the United States, the judicial branch has been, you know, really criticized unfairly, and, you know, you can't respond. You know, it's not, as I said before, it's not frowned upon. And no, I'm not here at the dark cloud, I just merely mentioned that. But, you know, even through that, it's a very fulfilling role. And I'll give one more example, then I'll shut up and sit down. A couple of months ago, or a year or two ago, I'm in this restaurant, and I wouldn't mention the name of the restaurant, the server, to protect the integrity of the restaurant. And the food is fantastic. I mean, fantastic. And it's a lot of food. And I'm sitting there, and I'm saying, oh, this is so good. You know, I'm there, I'm in heaven. The food is great. It's a lot of food. I have my favorite beverage, you know, Mabi, or was it lemonade? I can't recall. But it's just, I mean, it's just fantastic. You know, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, hey, wow. You know, and West Indians have this way, you know, you see your belly is full and you lean back and you know, you rub it and you say, you know, I could dead no. You know, just like, you know, you're at one with heaven. And I'm sitting there just totally at peace. And the waiter comes out and says, the chef would like to meet you. Okay, no problem. The chef comes out. Judge Willocks, how you doing? I said, I'm doing fine. So you did a great job, and, you know, thank you for the extra food. He said, no problem. My pleasure. So you don't remember me, do you? I said, no, I'm sorry. I said, no offense. You know, I meet a lot of people in my life. So, okay. Remember about 2 years ago? Yeah, okay, 2 years ago. Yeah, you sent me to jail. You know, my peace sniff went very quickly. Your mind plays a very hard role on you. You know, my palm began to sweat. I'm there thinking, so this is how I'm going to die, poison? And he's looking at me, and we have this pregnant pause. And I'm looking at him, and I'm trying to figure out if I have enough energy to get up and choke him before I die, because, you know, I'm wondering, okay, so he came out to look at me die? I mean, what's going on with this? He said, yeah, you know, I cooked the food. I begin to sweat more. I'm like, what? And he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm saying to myself, you just waiting for me to die? I mean, you would throw up? What is it? So finally he said, looks at me, said, you know, thank you. I said, for sending you to jail? I said, yes. He said, because you're sending me to jail, one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because you sent me to jail, I was able to turn my life around. And I'm looking at him, and I'm trying to wait for the punchline as if there, but you're going to die, or something like that. And he looks at me, and he said, would you like dessert? I figure, well, hey, I'm already dead, so. But, you know, and, you know, I left the restaurant, stopped by, you know, urgent care just in case, you know. And I was driving the car saying, wow, it's amazing. You send this person to jail, and it changed their lives. And that's when I began to realize that judges are like teachers. Teachers shape the lives of, or try many times to shape the lives of students. And as judges, we too, especially in criminal cases, shape the lives of the defendants. We set conditions to try to make them into a more viable person. And that is the reward of it. That is why, judges wake up and they can look at themselves in the mirror, because to a degree, we are shaping the lives, and we try to, we're the last stand between jail and bringing someone back into the community as a viable person. And that in itself is rewarding. And that is why we stay as judges. It's not the financial reward, trust me, it's not. But it's just that ability to be able to shape a young person's life and not just sentence them to jail, but to put conditions that make them understand that, hey, you can do better, you have to do better. And that's what judging is about, ladies and gentlemen. That is why, we stand here today honoring another sister, and I'm sure Judge Watlington and the governor is going to say, yeah, more women. But, it's fine. I already addressed that issue in St. Thomas. It's fine. But that is the essence of judging. And despite all the melee, rumors, and whatever else that goes on against the judiciary, some of it true, some not. I mean, we're not perfect. We're human beings. But at the end of the day, when we go home, we look at ourselves in the mirror and say to ourselves, hey, did you do the best that you can do? And I would tell you, speaking on behalf of all the judges, the answer is going to be yes. You may not agree with the rulings. Okay, it happens. But the reality is that without judges, without a judicial system, society becomes chaotic. Confidence in the judicial system is the foundation of society. Because if people cannot have trust or confidence in their judicial system, then anarchy begins to prevail. There is street justice. And so, ladies and gentlemen, okay, nobody threw a stone after me, that's so good. As I conclude, I ask you one simple thing. And, and I say this with all honesty. I think, and since I have the head of government here, that there should be a Hugger Judge Day. I think it should really be proclaimed. I think that at some point, judges, you need a hug. I mean, you trust me. You sit there and you listen to attorneys. Oh God, you listen to attorneys, and you either want a hug or a drink. I must say I'm not really the hugging type. So but we should have proclaimed Hugger Judge Day, because heaven knows, either hug a judge or buy a judge a drink day, one of the two, because we really, really need it. And as such, having said that, was that under my 5 or 6 minutes? Good. All right. Having said that, welcome everyone. I'm sorry I had to get on my soapbox without first welcoming you, but again, welcome. And if there's anything that Superior Court can do to make you feel more comfortable, please address it either to the presiding judge or Chief Justice. Thank you.
I think that's the longest I've ever heard Judge Willox speak. But there was something in that speech that I don't think is quite true. Marby is your favorite beverage? But he's in the court, so I'm sure it's the truth. Let's welcome at this time for remarks from the Virgin Islands Bar Association, the immediate past president of the Virgin Islands Bar Association, Attorney Alicia Udwani.
Good morning, everyone. I didn't get the nerves until I stood up in here, so excuse me. All right. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alicia Udwani, and I'm the immediate past president of the Virgin Islands Bar Association. I would like to start by thanking everyone here and Judge Yvette Ross Edwards for inviting me here to congratulate you personally and on behalf of the Virgin Islands Bar Association. The members of the Bar Association extend a warm welcome to you as our newest judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. I remember the first time I met Judge Ross Edwards. I was fresh out of law school and working at the Superior Court as a law clerk for the Magistrate Division. Judge Ross Edwards appeared in a probate hearing. I was immediately impressed by her calm confidence, her clear vision, her wealth of knowledge, and her handle on the facts of the case. She advocated for her clients zealously. I felt that, I apologize. I left that hearing thinking that this is the type of attorney I want to be one day. One who is always prepared, armed with knowledge and understanding, and that calm confidence in her abilities. I also had the opportunity to get to know Judge Ross Edwards a little more during my time as president of the Virgin Islands Bar last year. Judge Ross Edwards was on the Board of Governors. Her perspective was always insightful, and her passion to serve our community and do what is best for the people of the Virgin Islands was undeniable. We are excited to have someone on the bench who believes in the importance of volunteering for the bar. Now more than ever, it is important for our judges, court leaders, and lawyers to work together to ensure that we promote and protect the rule of law and deliver equal and timely justice to all. While it is clear that it's very important that the day-to-day of obtaining a resolution of a particular case requires that lawyers and judges remain separate in their work, with limited communications in the form of motion practice and formal argument, it is also clear that when assessing the broader perspective of the practice of law and how it affects the people of the Virgin Islands as a whole, that it is very important that the judiciary and the members of the Bar Association work together to facilitate growth and increase access to justice. Thank you, Judge Ross Edwards, for your years of service to the Bar Association. We are proud of you, and we're excited to have you on the bench.
Thank you, Attorney Udwani. I can tell you from personal experience, having served on the Board of Governors as well, and as president of the Bar Association, that then Attorney Ross Edwards was someone we could always count on to serve on every committee to do the work of the bar. So I know she's going to be missed on that side, but we're happy to have her now on this side. Please welcome at this time, from the District Court of the Virgin Islands, for his remarks, the Honorable Magistrate Judge Emil Henderson III.
Judge Morris, having already established protocol and advised us to adopt it, I will simply begin by saying good morning to all of you. It is my distinct honor to be here today to give a few remarks about a lady I have the utmost respect for. A lady who has worked diligently to build a career worthy of attaining an appointment to the judiciary. A lady who is an exceptional mother, wife, daughter, sister, colleague, friend, and just an exceptional human being. The Honorable Yvette D. Ross Edwards. I really love saying that. I have known Judge Ross Edwards all of my life, primarily because we are cousins. But I also have had the awesome privilege of being her colleague and partner in the practice of law. I owe so much of my success and where I am today in part to her. She was a boss, a mentor, an older sister, a confidant, a protector. She was everything you wanted in a law partner. There was never a time that I ever had to question or have concerns about her honesty or her integrity. What I loved about working with Judge Ross Edwards was how well we worked together, even though we are so very different in personalities. Here are some examples, and permit me to call you Yvette for these examples. Yvette is really quiet, and she can be a bit of an introvert. Me, I'm not quiet, nor am I an introvert. You would come to the office, and Yvette would be there, and you wouldn't even know that she's there because she's usually in her office, reading or writing. Me, oh, you know I was in the office. Yvette speaks when she feels she has something to say. Me, I talk all the time. Yvette started out as a defense lawyer, and I started out as a plaintiff's lawyer. And eventually, we became lawyers for both sides. Our office was in Frederiksted, and you couldn't be a boutique firm in Frederiksted because you had to address and be able to address all the issues the people of Frederiksted had. So we were a general firm that specialized in representing voices who felt voiceless and unheard. Her dream was to be a champion for the rights of those who were underserved and who needed an advocate they could trust. She succeeded, and to my great fortune, I bought into her dream, and it also became mine. I am so very proud of Judge Ross Edwards. The Superior Court, the local judiciary, has gained a judge whose acumen, legal and otherwise, is unmatched. You've gained a diligent, hardworking, respectful, kind, empathetic individual who, by her own example, will raise the level and competency of those who practice law before the courts. She will be the kind of judge this community respects and who litigants will leave her courtroom feeling like they were treated fairly and were heard, even if they were not the prevailing party. There are really no words that I can adequately string together that will fully express how very proud I am of Judge Ross Edwards. I was honored to be her colleague as a lawyer, and I am even more honored that she has joined me as a member of the judiciary. My heart is full. I am immensely happy for the litigants that will come before her because I know that they will learn what I already know. They'll know that she is fair. Judge Ross Edwards always listens to each side and of an issue intently, not simply to respond to what was being said, but to genuinely understand. Each week, we would have case discussions, and our goal was to explain to each other what our positions were on certain issues, and the other would pretend to be the opposing counsel, and she was really good at that. She would be sure to not just tell me where she thought I was doing well and had good arguments, but where she thought I was not as strong and how I could be better at my arguments. They'll know that she is always prepared. She never appeared at a deposition, oral argument, trial, or even at a client conference or meeting unprepared. Even if she had to work through the night, often I would come into the office and on her sofa would be her pillow and a blanket, where she had taken a quick nap only to start again because she wanted to ensure that she was producing the best work product. They'll know that she is extremely intelligent, whether it was her using her strong trial and advocacy skills to get the best possible results for her clients. Like when she was able to convince the court to exclude each of the opposing parties' experts, with the exception of one, which she was also able to significantly streamline. Or her ability to connect to juries. Or the groundbreaking decision she got from the courts who sided with her arguments and ruled that you could not disinherit a spouse. If there was a way for Judge Ross Edwards to figure out a legal issue to her advantage, she could always do so. They will know that she will afford each person respect, whether she was dealing with a difficult party or difficult opposing counsel. She afforded each person respect, and she practiced law with great civility. They'll know that she is community-oriented. Not only was she the regional dean for the Episcopal Diocese of the Virgin Islands, but she was also a founder and volunteer of one of the best festivals on island, the Coconut Festival. She was also a board member of our town, Frederickstead, and a volunteer for the Virgin Islands Little League West organization, the Croyette Softball League, and let's not forget that she was a great and awesome softball catcher. Community is important to her, and her involvement in the community allowed her to truly be a part of the community she loves so much. They'll know that she has excellent ethics. She served for many years on the Ethics and Grievance Committee, which became the Board of Professional Responsibility. Above all, being honest and maintaining sound character has always been very important to her. And because of the sum of who she is, most of all, they will know that she will respect her oath. Today is her day. And while I am certain that all this pomp and circumstance of today is something that she would have preferred to completely skip over, the truth is, she deserves it. And she has earned it. I love her, and it is my sincere joy to say congratulations, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge Henderson. I had the pleasure of taking my mother to church last Sunday, and one of the ladies at the church came up to me and she said, "Judge Morris, I vex with you." And so, of course, like Judge Wellox, I started to think, well, what did I do to this lady? And she says, you take me, attorney. Frederick said is definitely going to miss the law firm of Yvette Ross Edwards. Please welcome at this time for his remarks the President of the 35th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Novell E. Francis, Jr.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony, Magistrate Judge Morris. Good morning to all. Protocol having been established, I still want to give respect to the leader of this branch, Chief Justice Reese Hodge. Good morning. Good morning to family, friends, and well-wishers. For the second time this week, as I did earlier this week, I announced the fact that the legislature was in mourning as a result of the passing of Senator Alicia Chucky Hansen. Unfortunately, last evening or yesterday, I also got word that six-time former Senator Lloyd Williams have also passed. So the legislature continue to be in mourning at this difficult time. Nonetheless, today is a great day in the Virgin Islands. So once again, I want to say a pleasant good morning, or we say here on St. Croix, good morning. It is with my distinct pleasure and privilege to congratulate Judge Yvette Ross Edwards on the behalf of the 35th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, as she is welcomed to the Virgin Islands Judiciary. Judge, you join a collective group of men and women that are equally committed to the administration of law, justice, and fairness. And you stand on the shoulders of our community's legal giants that we are so proud to have seated on the bench of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. Today, As we mark the beginning of your tenure on the bench, we can appreciate how your years of experience as an attorney in the public and private sector, involvement in the Virgin's bar and organizations to include the St. Paul's Episcopal Church and Farmers in Action have exposed you to the challenges in our community and also broadened your mastery of the legal issues that impact our fellow Virgin Islanders. You are well prepared for this new responsibility and achievement in your career, and I'm confident that you will only complement the Superior Court team. As you assume the many responsibilities of your new appointment, I urge you to remember that the people before you will expect and appreciate the full measure of your preparation, consideration, skill, wisdom, and temperament as you navigate the legal challenges before you. And I remind you to always stay focused forward on your purpose, which is to administer the law with honor, principle, and fairness. I join all gathered here today in extending my warmest congratulations to the Honorable Judge Yvette Ross Edwards as she embarks on this new phase of service to the people of the Virgin Islands, and I wish her a fruitful career on the Superior Court. Congratulations, Your Honor. God bless this honorable court. God bless the Virgin Islands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please stand with me as we welcome now the Governor of the United States Virgin Islands, the Honorable Albert Bryan, Jr.
Good morning. Please be seated. And thank you for that, Judge Morris. Y'all don't seem as celebratory this morning, but I want to say good morning, of course, to the Honorable Reese Hodge, Chief Justice, our presiding judge, Deborah Watlington, Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Rhodes, all of the judiciary, senators, cabinet members, everybody who is here. I always sit up there and think about, like, because I never come with prepared marks of like what to say, you know. And yeah, I always got to. People expect me to say something witty all the time, but today is a really good day for me. See, I believe that everyone is divinely guided if you listen, and along your path, you have to be still enough to listen. But sometimes when you look back through your life, you just see moments flash back that you didn't understand then, but you understand now. And most people, you know, when they have a good situation, they're always thanking God. But they never thank God for the bad situation. But some of those bad situations prepare us for the good situations that we have. And, you know, I go call her Yvette too, because I know Yvette a long time, and I'm younger than her, so you got to point that out. And I kind of like in high school, I had just come to St. Croix, and she was a senior, and at the time, and no one mentioned it today, she used to kill it in sports. She was awesome in softball and in volleyball. I remember going to the games and seeing her, and she wasn't exactly quiet, but she wasn't a loud person. But that same demeanor she had then is essentially the same one she had now. And nobody mentioned was she was really smart too. She was top of her class in high school. So the first way it gives me great pleasure to be up here is that I'm a St. Dunstan's graduate, just like Judge Ross, right? Tim Duncan, Judge Malloy, Judge Tejo, and many other more. And I was looking around in the room to see like who from her class is here, and I see Richie back there. You guys know him as Muhammad now. Irvin, I saw Judy someplace, yes, in here. I miss anybody from that class? That was an awesome class. And you know, going to a small school, you're just connected. And I see my classmate Lisa in the back there. How connected we are. So believe it or not, it's hard to find judges. You know, 10 years ago, you could have said people used to say all the time, lawyers are a dime a dozen. But it's not like that anymore. We are at a crisis for good attorneys period, and jurists. And it makes me happy to be able to appoint Yvette for a number of reasons. First of all, because she really deserves it, right? She did the work, she's dedicated to her community. But it also made me proud because Yvette is essentially like, we like to get tribal in the Virgin Islands. She's a map person. Yeah, I said it. She's a map person. That's how we to think. But I don't think like that. My Lieutenant Governor, Tregenza Roach, don't think like that. Because we're too close together in this community to commit ourselves to political candidates for life and then banish everybody else who's not with that candidate. We all break bread and we eat together. And when I interviewed her, she pointed out something. I leave my phone because I'm going to get it right though. And I looked it up today because God don't make mistakes, and he puts me sometimes in these places on this lectern to tell you things. That she reminded me that her inspiration and what she wanted to do was to create a large local law firm like Hodge, Sheen, Ross, I'm forgetting one, and Finch. That team produced essentially the hub of the emergence of the Crucian people to prosperity, because they were also connected to Mario Deshabert. Where some people just know Mario who it is, but times have changed. And all of them, Albert Sheen, except one, Derek Hodge, Winston Hodge, all of them went to early graves, right? Judge Ross is the last one here. And through that, I ain't condemning Judge Ross to go anyway. Just for the record. Now, you know they like to, the man kill half Judge Ross in the courtroom. But think about how much influence, first of all, out of that, remember Raymond French became Chief Justice, right? I think he was the first in the, correct me. Chief Judge in District Court. And he presided here for a lot. I remember being in high school, going to school with Mark and Allison and Jennifer, his kids, like admiring this dude is like, he was like God. You know what I'm saying? If you know him too, I mean, that's how he moves. Derek went on to be the Lieutenant Governor. Judge Ross served as well too. I think he ran for governor or Lieutenant Governor. Albert was a senator for a while. So in terms of community impact, that made a huge difference for St. Croix at a time when people really needed guidance. I mean, let's get real, right? That were back in the day. A lot of people weren't up on the times. There was no internet and all this stuff. These people had a law firm that used to help people who were helpless, like the good magistrate just pointed out. But not only that, they inspired a whole legion of attorneys in St. Croix. Massive impact. So when we think about today, there's no law firm like that today, influencing economy, social, and the legal arena. And when we think about what's really important, I listen to people complain about potholes and street lights, but you know, while all of that is going on, there are major issues in how we treat our towns, abandoned and derelict buildings, huge impact in terms of what we're going to see in the future, that we don't have our legal minds and people of us leading the charge on this. We have issues on Medicaid, ROM cover over, or there's all kinds of things that we have to contemplate moving into the future about waste management, large looming issues that no one talks about, that I have to go to DC. So when we look at the future of the Virgin Islands, especially for St. Croix, who is going to take their charge? Who are going to be those legal minds? Akil, I can't remember Akil's last name now. points out to me all the time. He's the only male local lawyer under 40 or whatever it is. The only one. That ain't scary. And when you look at our judges and our judicial system, and I got correct, Harold, we can't answer back neither. You see what happened to my predecessor? Okay. When you look at our judges, he is right. You have to be really grateful because they make great determinants of law. We have serious cases. I remember when Brian was a senator. He used to be in the courthouse all the time fighting stuff legally that he didn't think was right. As a senator, the importance of the judiciary is often overlooked, but the law is very important. It's the difference between you getting in or out of jail, you owning that piece of property or losing it to somebody. It is very important. So I want to publicly thank, first of all, Yvette on her decision to serve, because she walked away from a law practice in a very lucrative time in the Virgin Islands. I mean, there's a lot of legal work to be done, and she decided to do this, so thank you for that. And our other jurists that do this because they could be doing other things, making money, making plenty more money. Thank you for serving as well. We have to think about who is inspiring the next generation of Virgin Islanders. Who is making sure that all we don't think about is how much money can we make? How many people are thinking about how do we serve the people? What are we saying to people? When you read every Virgin Islander, we always talking about the brain drain and all of the people that went to the States. What about the people that stayed? What about those people? And how are we saying thank you to those people that decided to give up next day Amazon delivery and Grubhub and Uber Eats and AAA coming to your house to stay here and deal with power outages and potholes and all the other problems that we deal with? We have to make sure that we are encouraging and making Virgin Islands, young Virgin Islands, proud of who we are and what we exhibit. We need to make sure that we don't beat down our heroes so that they want to be those people. We have to make sure that we talk about our place in a way that makes our young people want to come home to the Virgin Islands. And you got to make sure that we do the things that make us understand that we are a special people to be born on little islands in the middle of an enormous and vast sea. And just happen, you know how good God got to be to put you right in Charles Howard Hospital? Pow! It's not easy. And make sure that we represent and be proud of us wherever we feel, whatever field of endeavor that we go into. Now, of course, you may think I say this selfishly, but I particularly have to be the adult in the room all the time when I want to clap back for real. I have to shut up, stop my fingers from typing, refrain from answering people because the children are watching. But the children are watching today, and they're very proud that we make one of our own, our Yvette Ross, a judge. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Let me help you out a little bit, Governor. The Honorable Edgar D. Ross was judge of the Superior Court. He also served as Attorney General for these United States Virgin Islands, and he served in the legislature as well, one of the few to have served in every branch of government. I've seen the pride on his face when I was invested as a judge, when Judge Henderson was invested, when Judge Brow-Ross was invested, but today I see a pride in his heart. Congratulations, Judge. At this time, we'll have a musical tribute by Miss Colleen Liebert.
Good morning, everyone. Judge Ross, listening to everyone, and as I mentioned to you, I read your testimony. And the one song that really, really came to me was, Lord, I'm available to you, because I see you as a servant leader. And I know you will do justice as you sit on the bench. And I pray that God will continue to use you how you are called to be used. You gave me my hands to reach out to man, to show him your love and your perfect plan. You gave me my ears, I can hear your voice so clear. I can hear the cries of sinners, but can I wipe away their tears? You gave me my voice to sing your word, to sing all your praises to those who've never heard. But when my eyes I see your need for more availability, I see the hearts that's been broken, so many people to be free. Lord, I'm available to you. My will I give to you. I'll do what you say do. Use me, Lord, to show someone the way which enable me to say, my storage is empty and I am available to you. Now I'm giving back to you all the tools you gave to me. My hands, my ears, my voice, my eyes, so you can use them as you please. I have emptied out my cup so that you can fill it up. Now I'm free, I just want to be more available to you. Lord, I'm available to you. My will I give to you. I'll do what you say do. Use me, Lord, to show someone the way which enable me to say, my storage is empty and I am available to you. Ooh, my storage is empty, and I am available to you. Oh, she's available, Lord. Use her. She will be used by you. Oh, 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 use me, Lord, to show someone the way which enable me to say, my storage is empty, and I am available to you. Oh, my storage is empty, and I am available to you. Oh, my storage is empty, and I am available to you. Ooh. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Ms. Liebert, for that beautiful musical tribute. At this time, we welcome to the podium for the introduction of the Honorable Yvette D. Ross Edwards, Charmaine Hobson.
Good morning. And I was smiling to myself when Colleen did such an amazing job with that song, because they confused us and thought I was going to sing. And I could just imagine clearing the courtroom. I can't even hum. But it is an honor for me to be here today to give God all honor and glory and praise for my friend, Yvette Ross Edwards. And she said she'll give me $1,000 if I don't cry, so I'm going to try real hard not to cry. Governor, I went to St. Dunstan's. I was her classmate. I've known Yvette for almost 50 years. We have history. I am reminded of a verse in the Bible that epitomizes who she is. It's from James chapter 1, verse 19. It says, "Know this, my brothers and sisters. Let every person be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger." That's Yvette. She has mastered it. I didn't say she perfected it, because you slip and slide, and I said no for about 50 years, so she did do some slipping and sliding. But for the most part, she is that verse. I once heard a pastor use the traffic light to metaphorically describe that passage, and he said the green light is quick to listen. And I seen Yvette do this. She sits, she listens, and she's paying attention to your words, what you say, what you don't say, how you say it. And I often told my students that you can listen with your eyes and your ears, because she looks at the person, the demeanor, stature, facial expressions. And sometimes I'm talking to her and I'm like, I wonder if this woman even paying attention to what I'm saying, because she's just so quiet. And then she starts asking questions and trying to get more clarity about what I'm trying to explain. And she does this with everyone. And then the yellow light comes because she's slow to speak. And she tells you what she really thinks about that situation. And she measures her words really carefully, because her intent isn't to hurt, destroy the person's character, make them feel bad or hurt or abused by her words. She wants to build you up. She wants you to trust in her. So when she speaks, she's paying very close attention to what she says. And then there's the red light. Because, you know, sometimes people will say things that really throw us off track. As a matter of fact, my sister said I'm the worst person to have an argument with, because I told them the only rule in an argument is to win. So I don't throw in everything. But that's not Yvette. I've seen her angry, but very, very infrequently. She's passionate, and she lets you know how she feels about something. But she is such a calm, Judge Henderson said it, she's so calm, she's such an introvert. We are truly opposites. She likes dirt and planting and that type of thing, and not me. She is so good at being slow to anger. And I want to tell her, every chance you get, read James chapter 1, because it's entitled Practical Wisdom for Hard Trials. And you're going to experience some of that on your journey. Yvette is the friend that I've had who, and that's why I know she's so ready for this position. She has such good character. She's so passionate. She's so logical. She's reasonable. She assesses a situation. She's brave and courageous, and she's not afraid to stand and be the only one who believes in something and fight for it. Her conscience is her guide, and she's guided by God. So I know that when she sets something before us, it's because she has thought about it long and hard. She's such a wonderful mother. She has 3 beautiful children who she has taught to be respectful. They are just as brilliant as she is. Her husband, Taima, they have been in marriage life, in marriage years, married for 100 years. And they continue to stand the test of time and the best of times. They don't compete with each other. They complete each other. And she has been friend to all of her classmates who are here today from St. Dunstan's and her colleagues. And I think she's really going to be a great fit. Not, I don't think. I know she's going to be a great fit at this job. And I want to tell the family and the friends, because we rely so much on Yvette. Yvette is the go-to for a lot of us. Yvette, draft this for me. Yvette, write this for me. Yvette, cook this for me. Yvette, be a part of this committee. Yvette, help me with this. And we're going to have to step back. And we're going to have to stand shoulder to shoulder and push her up the hill when she needs that nudge. Like I said, she's very brave and she's very courageous. And I want to tell you, one day I called her, I sent a picture to her, and I said, I don't know what this is, but you need to come to my house to kill it. And she sent text back and she said, but it looks like some kind of a worm. I said, every time I spray it, it would skitter away. You really have to come. And she came immediately. It was a work day. She came down in her high heels and I gave her this road spray, some gloves, and tissue, paper towel. And I said, now go in there and kill it. And she went in and she came back out and she had it in her hand and she said, this was going to attack you. I said, oh God, why was? Why was? And she said, Charmaine, so let me tell you all the punchline first. I had braids in my hair and my braids were long, so I had to use a Pueblo bag to tie my hair. And a piece of the plastic from the Pueblo bag detached and fell into my shower. And so every time I spray it, because it's such light material, it would skitter all over the floor. And Yvette came in and she picked it and she said, this was going to attack me, in her serious, judicious face. And started laughing after me for days. I think she still laughs after me right now. But I say that to say this. My friend is an amazing human being, and I'm glad that you guys are going to get an opportunity to experience who she really is. I am going to share her with you. I am going to have her back always. I'm going to be there always. And we're going to watch you do you as you do you so well. And may God grant you wisdom, knowledge, and understanding continuously as you make this path your reality. You're going to be an amazing judge. I'm proud of you, and I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me such pleasure, such honor, I'm humbled to introduce to you the newest judge of the Superior Court, the Honorable Yvette D. Ross Edwards.
Thank you, Colleen. You can be seated. I don't know if you all noticed, but she came up here with no notes. Since what, some school? That was incredible. At this time, we're going to have the commission of office, which will be read by the Honorable Deborah S. Watlington, presiding judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. That will be followed by the administration of the oath of office by the Honorable Reese S. Hodge, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Virgin Islands. The Bible will be held by Malcolm Edwards. And then we'll have the presentation of the gown by Mahalia and Misa Edwards. And then we'll have the presentation of the gavel by the Honorable Deborah S. Watlington.
Good morning, everyone. The commission of office reads as follows. Government of the United States Virgin Islands, Charlotte Amalie St. Thomas, to all to whom these presents shall come, greetings. Know ye that reposing special trust and confidence in the integrity, ability, and discretion of Judge Yvette Ross Edwards. I, but Governor Albert Bryan Jr., has nominated, and with the advice and consent of the 35th Legislature of the United States Virgin Islands, do hereby appoint her to be Judge of the Superior Court of the United States Virgin Islands for the District of St. Croix, effective August 14th, 2023 through August 14th, 2029, and do authorize and empower her to execute and fulfill the duties of that office according to law, and to hold the said office with all the rights and privileges thereunto legally appertaining pursuant to Title IV, Chapter 5, Sections 71 and 72 of the Virgin Islands Code. In testimony whereof, Albert Bryan Jr. set his hand and caused the seal of government of the United States Virgin Islands to be hereunto affixed, done in the city of Charlotte-Amalie, St. Thomas, on the 4th day of October of the year of our Lord 2023 by Governor Albert Bryan Jr. and attested by Lieutenant Governor Tregenza A. Roach. Congratulations.
Is unmuted. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Yvette Ross Edwards,
I, Yvette Ross Edwards,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the United States
applicable to the Virgin Islands,
applicable to the Virgin Islands,
and the laws of the Virgin Islands,
and the laws of the Virgin Islands,
that I will administer justice
that I will administer justice
without respect to persons,
without respect to persons,
and do equal right to the poor
and do equal right to the poor
and to the rich,
and to the rich,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
perform all of the duties
perform all of the duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as judge
as judge
of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands
of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Judge. Yvette.
Now you may stand as we welcome the Honorable Yvette D. Ross Edwards. Let's welcome her for her response. You may be seated.
Good morning. You know, I thought I'd start off this morning by kind of reminding you who had the opportunity to know me about how reserved and serious and emotionless I am. And then between the remarks and the song, I think they crack that exterior. But today, I am filled with so much gratitude. I am grateful for you, all of you here today. I'm grateful for your support. And I am grateful for this honor and opportunity to share with you those persons who have influenced my life on this journey, the lessons that I have learned, and to publicly acknowledge in my simple terms my commitment to my community. But first, I thank God Almighty for bringing me this far and remaining with me on this journey. I am grateful for the sacrifices and love of my inner circle. My husband, not of 100 years, but of 28 years, Percival Tahima Edwards. He keeps me firmly grounded, literally and figuratively, with his lessons on history, culture, and family. Together, we raised 3 beautiful children: Malcolm, Misa, and Mahalia. And Malcolm has blessed us with a daughter-in-law, Sasha, who could not be here, and 2 grandsons. I thank my family, for they have sacrificed much, as I often work 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. Unfortunately, our struggle has steered my children away from a career in law. But I am very proud of their individual achievements: an engineer, an accountant and counselor, and a combat systems officer with the United States Air Force. You have each exemplified our family motto: never quit. You held close to your heart our teaching, family always, and have overcome challenges to find your personal successes rooted in my simple demand: do right, be right, and live right. I am proud of you. But as my father told my sisters and I one day when we were jumping up and down because we learned that he was going to be a judge, he said, do wrong, and you will answer to the law, just like anyone else. As a judge, I cannot be your saving grace, but God can. I am proud of you and eternally grateful for your sacrifice and support. And to my mother, Genevieve Edney, you taught me by example to work hard, to reflect high moral standards and practice discipline, to be selfless without regrets, and courageous in the wake of overwhelming adversity. You've sacrificed much for my journey, and God knows your story. This honor is because of you. And finally, my father, Judge Edgar D. Ross, and my sisters, Desiree and Wendy. I have often spoken about being an only child, but in another sense, that's really not true. I grew up with my two sisters from my father, one of whom I've been told reflects me in a three-way mirror with my father. That's Desiree. And the other, Wendy, and I have grown closer as we got older. I will look forward to more long hikes, whitewater rafting. We're going to throw in some skiing, quiet dinners, and sisterly bonding when I take a de-stress visit. And as often as our three paths have been, as different as our three paths have been, one thing is true, and that is that family binds. Thank you, Desiree and Wendy, for being there. And as for my father, I'll share more of my gratitude later. While my family has paved the roads that I have journeyed, I am blessed to be flanked on my sides by my two closest friends, sisters from another parent. I speak of Charmaine Hobson and Judy David. Our friendships are dated like the kind of entries you will find in a historic almanac. Distance and silence were of no moment. Our values are similar, but our personalities are as contrasting as brown soda is to Diet Coke is to Vitamalt. And just as we stood as godparents for each other's children, so too have we shared in the honor and joy and grief of each significant event and shown supportive respect for each's professional journey. Charmaine and Judy, thank you. I am blessed to have you share the emotions of this occasion. Now let me transition to you. Yes, all of you sitting here in this courtroom, and to those of you viewing by live stream. Family, friends, colleagues, well-wishers, all of you. I'm extremely pleased that you are here to witness my investiture, not because this is my first experience with the pomp and circumstance associated with this office. And you've already heard that I'm not too much into having the light always shine on me, but because of the solemnity of this ceremony and what it represents and the weight of the oath that I have taken. I was reminded by a fellow judge that in one sense this ceremony is really not about me, but about you, the community, the public who I serve, and on occasion will sit in judgment of, but who are not fully aware of the intensity, emotion, beauty, humiliation, and dedication that is evident in the taking of the oath. And then on the other hand, this ceremony is very much about me, as today is my public acknowledgement of my commitment and the recognition that the power I will hold is external to me. Judges are often branded as ivory tower dwellers with heads in the clouds, isolated from accountability and everyday problems. These same judges are still expected to interpret and adapt our laws and guide everyday lives through ever-changing circumstances, case by case by case by case. This weighty responsibility is enshrined with enormous discretion that I must now exercise in accordance with law. I expect that this position will require a different level of courage than that which I may be accustomed to. In adopting the words of Winston Churchill, for a judge, courage is not just what it takes to stand up and speak out, but to sit down and listen. But courage may only be the beginning. A few months ago, after congratulating me, I was told, as a judge, many may act as though you should be a seer, have a broad back of iron, a telepathic mind, an autobiographical memory, and an extra large heart, and just remain focused on the law. And as long as you know that you've acted in accordance with it, then be kind to yourself. For this job is not only weighty, but sometimes harsh. I didn't smile this time. I received the message and offered it up to God, took a deep breath, and reiterated to myself, I am ready. I am also grateful specifically to those of you who shared my journey from the softball fields to the classroom, to my work in the community, through my church, and in the courtroom. You helped to prepare me for the selfless service of a judge. You know, there was a time that if someone told me that they were putting me on the bench, I would have shirked my shoulders, raised my eyebrows, and said, who, me? Not me. I have other plans. And for a while, I was sure that I would be in the never-ending private practice of law until God placed mental or physical limitations on my ability to continue. But that is not the case, and not the path that's chosen. My journey to this bench began with a call from Governor Albert Bryan. He called me last January and he said, Yvette, you were recommended as an excellent person for nomination as a judge. But before you say anything, tell me now if you think you're going to be interested. Immediately what popped into my mind is that he must have heard the talk that Yvette wouldn't want such a position. Talk that may have dissuaded others in the past from asking. And that was okay. But just at that moment, I knew I was ready, and I said, yes, I will consider it. And the rest is history. I highlight this example to say the governor took a chance when some public sentiments may surely have been, she wouldn't want it. You see, never say never is truly a fact. And when it's your time, it's yours. God will let you know. I would have missed the opportunity to accept what is the most humbling and selfless position in our government. Had the governor not ventured to ask. And I will add that several weeks later, after completing my interview with the governor, his chief of staff, as he was walking me out, said to me, your life is about to change. And me, in my usual matter-of-fact tone, said, who, me? I live a low-key life, not me. He smiled. Low-key or not, life has changed. Maybe not in the way you think. So, Governor, thank you for going against the grain. He said, I know she's a map person, so going against the grain. Making the ask and directed me into a position that I am enjoying intentionally. I particularly want to single out 3 people in the legal field who have influenced me. And while not in this order, I speak of my father, the Honorable Judge Edgar D. Ross, the Honorable retired Judge George W. Cannon, Jr., and the late Eric Moore, Esquire. And I'll start with Attorney Moore. Attorney Moore could easily have been among our esteemed Supreme Court justices had he lived a little longer. I learned much from him. The importance of organization, meeting deadlines, enveloping oneself into the law, and daring to challenge the laws. Sadly, I only benefited from his counsel for a year and a half because Eric passed away, but not before distinguishing himself as an accomplished jurist. I remember when he introduced me to my new office in his firm, and he said to me, almost anyone who's ever occupied this office has become a judge. I speak of no other than the Honorable retired Judge Patricia Steele, Family Court Judge of the Superior Court, and the Honorable late Judge David V. O'Brien of the District Court of the Virgin Islands. Today, I say thank you, Eric, for offering up into the universe that one day I would be a judge, for helping to mold our laws, and for raising the bar. And then there's retired Magistrate Judge of the District Court, George W. Cannon, Jr., with whom I worked during my early years of practice. Judge Cannon taught me compassion for people, all people, which he also extended during his term on the bench in his interactions with attorneys and their clients. I have seen him exercise his compassion without compromising the mandates of law, and I have seen him show respect for everyone who appeared before him. But most memorable for Judge Cannon was his response to me many years ago when I asked why he worked so hard when he was in private practice. And he said, you know, in his usual way, Yvette, man, work is worship. I have thought much about that phrase, work is worship, over the years, especially when long hours never seem to end. Judge Cannon's way was to equate work with giving gratitude and recognition to a higher source. I have chosen to adopt his view because I know God Almighty will see me through. Remind me to be compassionate to those who appear before me without lowering the bar. Laugh a little and be kind to myself. But most importantly, love what I do. After taking over Judge Cannon's firm in 2004, he left me a reminder, a wooden placard that I proudly displayed in my office over the years, and it read, "Success is a matter of hanging on when others have let go." I took this to heart and shared its wisdom with my children often. And here I am. Judge Cannon, thank you. And the third person needs no introduction from me. Retired Superior Court Judge Edgar D. Ross, my father. Twice appointed judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. and former Attorney General of the Virgin Islands and clerk of the District Court of the Virgin Islands. I did work with him in his private practice of law in my early impressionable years as a young lawyer, and my first lesson from him was equivalent to being pushed off of a ledge and told to swim in deep waters with little swimming experience. I was working at the law offices of Ross and Cannon, and I was asked by Judge Ross, then attorney, to handle a matter that he had tried several months prior. It was a bench trial, and I spent several days and all night preparing for what I understood were going to be the issues raised. In fact, I called them several times that night, and we spoke about the issues. And then I got myself ready that day, and I went into court. You know, young law graduates, we're ready to prove ourselves. And so I appeared before the Honorable Judge Eileen Peterson, and I began, "May it please the court," and on and on. And I was looking at Judge Peterson, and I interpreted her look at me as her trying to understand fully the argument that I was trying to make. And then somewhere along the line, she said, "Attorney Ross Edwards, that's not why we're here today." And she proceeded to explain to me why she thought that I was there before her and what were the issues that should be argued, and then left me to make what she thought and expected would be an intelligible argument. I don't know what I said. I said something, and then I ended, and I turned to pick up my bag and leave, and Judge Peterson called out to me, and she said, "Attorney Ross Edwards." And I turned around and looked at her, and she had a big smile on her face. And she said, "Your father set you up good, huh?" I fought back the tears, and I left court, and I hurried back down to the office because I was going to confront Judge Ross. And I did, and he looked at me and said, "Oh, well, next time get it right." And that is how it was. No pull-ups, no shortcuts, simply hard work. That is how he did it, and that is how I learned to do it. I must acknowledge that this ceremony is very much about him as it is about me. I was reminded the other day that together we have made Virgin Islands history as the first father-daughter judges in the territory. I did not realize that before it was said, and then the weight on my shoulders increased, as most surely did the expectations. When you look at us, I am sure you will find that we have an uncanny resemblance. I have even been told that I display some of his facial expressions and his chuckles and even his voice intonations, although not his satirical wit for sure. And while I never practiced before him, I heard the stories from some of his former law clerks, some of whom are judges now. Judge Emil Henderson III, Judge Ernest Morris, and Judge Yolande Brow-Ross. But they told me about his no-nonsense approach to handling his docket. And today I can share that he made it a point of starting his matters in court on time, regardless of who was there. I notice Judge Willocks does the same thing. I am and will continue doing that. And Judge Ross rarely extended trial dates once set. I understand Judge Andrews does something similar, and I intend to do that. But But he also, I was told, issued rulings in writing in large letters. Sometimes he wrote denied or granted, and sometimes in red ink. I won't be doing that. But I endeavor to rule within a reasonable time to keep my docket moving as he did. So Judge Ross, my father, thank you for forcing me to take legal flight early, tumbling occasionally, but nonetheless toughening me up for the response that may come from the Virgin Islands Bar if I deny their motions for continuances and extensions, refuse to move a trial date, rule against their argument, or am simply delayed in ruling a little too long. And now my new court family, thank you for your time, for your services and responsiveness, for your bright smiles, cheerful greetings, all going a long way to ease my transition to the bench. Thank you to my secretary, Ms. Cheyenne Felician, who has grown with me from my private practice and is doing a phenomenal job at managing my chambers. Thank you, Cardinal Mills, for sticking around, the law clerk who I share with our senior sitting judge, the Honorable Judge Jomo Meade. And I also thank all the clerks, administrators, and directors of the court who have met with me in person and by phone, and have been involved in the planning of this investiture ceremony. Ms. Regina Peterson, I know you long time. We go back to Ross and Cannon days. And nothing more will be said except thank you, and I'm proud of you. I remember many years ago when I was a summer intern at the Territorial Court of the Virgin Islands when it was located in the Toro building in Golden Rock. And then the next year I was a summer intern at the Territorial Court's new Kings Hill location. I worked in traffic, small claims, and the non-jury divisions under the guidance of clerks like Ms. Stamatakis, Ms. Acoy, Ms. Powell, Ms. Allen, just to name a few. And while that was a long time ago, your roles now are no less important. I appreciate how much you do and impact on the greater efficiency of the court, and while I will no longer be working directly with these divisions, I also want to recognize and thank the clerks in family and probate divisions, as I am sure that in my past as an attorney, I may have frustrated them immensely. And finally, no courtroom is complete without knowledgeable and professional marshals. My courtroom has seen some of the best here on St. Croix, but I particularly want to thank my marshal, Miss Lilia Williams. My journey to this point was also not without spiritual guidance and support from my church. I want to thank the Right Reverend Ambrose Gumbs, former Bishop of the Virgin Islands. Thank you for your confidence in me. I want to thank Reverend Amantine Doward. Thank you for your counsel and guidance. I want to thank Reverend Edward Thompson. Thank you for pulling me back into service of my church, for your friendship to my family and me, and for making us a part of your Liberian American family. And Reverend Kerr, may God bless you and grant you the strength to lead our church, the charisma to invigorate, and the patience of Job. Like me, God is not done with you yet. And now, to my brother, my cousin, my friend, my business partner, and now judicial colleague, the Honorable Emil Henderson III, Magistrate Judge of the District Court of the Virgin Islands. Down a river we have rowed, survived several waterfalls. Up many streams we have paddled, landing regularly to render assistance, and then returning to paddle fervently to a dream we both shared. Over a year ago, I shared in your honor, and today I am happy that you are sharing in mine. You've shared a bit of our story, and so I will just say thank you. And I love you immensely, but that's another story for another day. You know, I can't say enough thank yous to those who have gotten me here, names called and those unnamed. And while I think I need to review my checklist one more time, just know that you're all appreciated and are appreciated not just because you are here, but because you helped me when I was a ball player. You helped me when I was a team player. You were there with me at St. Dunstan School as my classmates. You worked as my employees over the years and dug deep and gave much. To my church and family and my greater families, the Rosses, the Edneys, the Edwards, and extensions of them, all of your hands have pushed me forward, supported me upward, and challenged me inward. You make me ready. And finally, because I just checked my list, I just have to mention two people whose confidence in me dug me out of difficult times. I am grateful for my cousin, Michael Canton, who said the most impactful 5 words that carried me through following the death of my daughter. To my Uncle Rupert Ross, thank you for showing up when I least expected it. And to the late Eugene Genix Thomas, my softball coach, who taught me to dig deep within to your inner strength when even discipline and hard work fails your overworked body. I remember catching 5 softball games in a row, 2 games each day. It was a weekend tournament. My legs were numb. I could no longer throw anyone out when they stole a base. I was missing pitches, and the ladies were stealing the bases. My palms were red and swollen and in pain from catching fast pitches, and my shoulder was hurting. Everything was not going right. Occasionally, a tear would flow behind my catcher's mask. But Genix would not take me out, and I refused to ask to be taken out. Needless to say, we lost the tournament. St. Thomas won in the last inning of the last game, but I learned a lot about myself that weekend. And now I rise and I stand before you, ready to assume the responsibilities of a judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. Today I owe much, and to whom much is given, I know much is expected. And so I commit to you to take my oath seriously, to set my bar higher, to work relentlessly, to keep my docket moving, to strive to rule within a reasonable time, to be compassionate but firm with persons who appear before me, to apply the rule of law and display sound moral ethics, and most importantly, to exercise my authority and discretion with the tempered scales of justice. I commit myself to learn as much as I can from my fellow judges, for my growth should be a building block to their experiences. Thank you, Presiding Judge Deborah Watlington, for ensuring that my transition to the bench was seamless. To the Administrative Judge Harold Willox, thank you for answering every call, every time I call. Thank you, Judge Douglas Brady and Judge Alfonso Andrews, for sitting with me before I assumed the bench and imparting to me your wisdom and experience. And Judge Willox, Judge Andrews, and Magistrate Judge Ernest Morris for reminding me that it is possible to stay connected to your community. Thank you, Judge Jessica Gallivan, for your guidance by example. And to the St. Thomas judges, Judge Francois, Judge Mackay, and Judge Tejo, thank you for extending yourselves. I'm not afraid to call if I need or I have a question, and you should expect that call. To Justice Reese Hodge, thank you for your welcoming call. And Justice Cabret, for your kind counsel and encouragement. And of course, to the magistrates who have willingly answered every question I had about maneuvering the court processes, I appreciate you. I also want to extend gratitude to the late Superior Court Judge Julio Brady, who taught me much about respect for the judiciary and the court, a basic tenet upon which the effectiveness of the judicial system relies. And so, I know I promised not to break any rules today, and I may be very near to that, but I will close with this. I want you to understand that if I pass you in the hallway or the roadway, I mean no disrespect, as my mind is filled with a legal issue that I have been grappling with for days and just cannot seem to figure out how to eloquently write that opinion. And while my eyes may appear to be staring right at you, I may be moving on autopilot, while my thoughts are replaying counsel's arguments from yesterday's hearing. And if I don't accept your invitation, it's not because I am now too good to sit with you, having elevated to the lofty clouds, but it may be because I endeavor to avoid every appearance of conflict, so that you and the community may feel confident in the fairness and impartiality of my decisions. Or maybe I simply need rest. And if you see me from a distance, walking with my head held high and a spring to my step, it is not because the lofty clouds have invigorated me with an extra night of restful sleep. I may not be so fortunate. Just know that I have finally figured out how to shoulder the weight of the many legal issues that plague our community, and have concluded that it is not best carried with a downward gaze. My judicial journey began a little more than 2 months ago on August 14th, 2023. And as I continue, I know that you will be watching, assessing, and perhaps some of you will be speculating and judging. And as I endeavor to always do my best, I must remind you that my future as a judge is yet to be written. The circumstances upon which you judge and speculate may never be the same, and the law is usually in a state of evolution. Thank you all. I appreciate you. And God bless these United States Virgin Islands and its people. Thank you.
A little birdie just whispered into my ear that the Honorable Yvette D. Ross Edwards is actually celebrating two wonderful things this week. And so we're going to do something that I don't think we've ever done an investiture before, but we're going to sing happy birthday to the Honorable Yvette D. Ross Edwards. Now somebody got to raise it because you don't want me to do it.
Okay, let's all sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Judge. Happy birthday to you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you. Happy birthday to you. And we wish you many, many wonderful more birthdays.
Thanks again to everyone who attended this beautiful ceremony today. Judge Ross Edwards has asked me to especially thank the members of the staff who were on the planning committee for today's investiture. A special thanks to Chief Justice Reese S. Hodge, Presiding Judge Deborah S. Watlington, Administrator of Courts Regina Peterson, Assistant Administrator of Courts and Investiture Chair Kevin Williams, and I think this is going to be Mr. Williams' last investiture in this branch of government, so thank you. Investiture Director Darius Scott, Head Hostess Nissa Bailey, along with the other hostesses, Dornelia Williams, Cindy Francis, Twana Augustin, and Nasha Fontanelle, Assistant Chief Marshal Anne-Marie Wong, Buildings and Grounds Maintenance Supervisor Roland Otley, Chief Information Security Officer Marcus Brathwaite, and all other court staff who work so diligently to make today so very special. Judge Ross Edwards has also given me an order that we not wait for her to begin the luncheon. Once the food is ready and you have arrived in the room, she would like you to go ahead and begin eating. She is going to stick around here and take pictures with family and friends and everybody who would like to, and she doesn't want to feel rushed. So please, once you reach next door, if the food is ready, go right ahead and eat. It's been my pleasure to serve as the Master of Ceremonies today as we celebrate my friend, my colleague, and now my fellow judge, the Honorable Yvette D. Ross Edwards. Judge, please remember today, remember it fondly. When the job gets difficult, and it certainly will at some point, those trials, hard trials that Colleen mentioned are going to come. And the warmth of this occasion, the grace of God, the love and support of your friends and family, the respect you have in this community, all of those things will sustain you. Always remember that you have been anointed, appointed, and assigned for this job. Now please stand as we welcome Reverend Amantine Doward. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, Reverend. At this time, we'll have the closing remarks by our esteemed presiding judge of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands, Deborah S. Watlington.
It's good afternoon now. And our esteemed Master of Ceremonies has said most of what I was going to say for the closing remarks, so it makes my job easier. But today is truly, truly a joyous occasion. And, you know, there's something, it's like I almost don't even want this to end. You know, I'm a Centomian. And so I'm always glad to hear all the stories that the Crucians give. And, you know, today is a day of the people of Frederickstead. You know, and I'm always thrilled when somebody from St. Croix tell me I'm from the West. You know, I was like, well, why do you always say they're from the West? But it's because the West is best, and we know that especially today. And truly, truly, we have a real gem from the West. And I'm happy to have the Honorable Judge Yvette Ross Edwards join the bench of the Superior Court. And it's obvious that we have another female on the bench, and Judge Willocks wanted me to point that out. It's evident. And Judge Ross Edwards so eloquently pointed out that she has made history today by being the daughter of a retired judge, Judge Edgar Ross. So we have, history will have it now that we had a father and daughter on the bench. So we continue to make history here at the Virgin Islands Superior Court. And I just want to convey basically what everybody has said already, that this investiture is about honoring the Honorable Yvette Ross Edwards, but it's also a charge for us to go forth and help children and families of the Virgin Islands, because we have so much strength, so much intelligence, so much capability, and we just need to reach out and touch each child so that we can produce more jewels of the Virgin Islands like the Honorable Yvette Ross Edwards. So take that charge today. And the governor talked about the crisis we're in terms of finding quality people to be attorneys and jurors and jurists. We do have problems finding jurors also. Because jurors make up part of our judicial system, and we need them. We need everybody to understand their roles. And so we have a duty to go out there, go into our schools, and some other speakers at the ceremony held earlier this week asked us, charged us to go out into our schools, into our community, onto the softball fields, the volleyball, to the volleyball games, the volleyball courts, the basketball courts, and be teachers and mentors to our children, and let them know those are stepping stones to greater opportunities that's just waiting for them out there to reach. And there's no bar too high for them to reach. So I asked you to go out, great individuals from the West and the East and across the seas, to go out and help create more jewels of the Virgin Islands. So thank you all. Everybody has been mentioned already by our MCs to thank, and so I won't repeat that, but it took a lot of people to put this together, and I'm really, really grateful to the staff for all their hard work, night, day, early mornings, putting this together. And we really worked hard to make this special for Judge Yvette Ross Edwards and her family and friends. So I really, truly hope that you enjoyed the program and you will enjoy the rest of the afternoon. So God bless you all.
Thank you, Presiding Judge. Now please stand as we welcome Reverend Amantine Doward, priest in charge of Holy Cross Episcopal Church, to bless the food and to bring us the benediction.
Let us pray. Oh God, we come to you today asking your blessings upon Judge Yvette Ross Edwards as she takes on the noble and weighty responsibility of serving as a judge. We thank you, Lord, for the wisdom, the patience, and discernment you have already bestowed upon her and ask your guidance and grace in the days to come. May her investiture this day be the beginning of a lifetime of judicial excellence and service. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, O Lord. And now, unto God's gracious mercy and protection, we commit ourselves. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace, both now and evermore. And as Lord, you have blessed us this day and fed our souls, we now ask you to bless our bodies with this food to our use and to us to your service, and to keep us ever mindful of the needs of others. For Christ's sake, amen.
The Honorable Judge Yvette Ross Edwards now stand adjourned. Please remain standing in place for further instructions.
And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us as we celebrate the ascension of the Honorable as the newest Superior Court judge. Following, as Judge Morris indicated, we will have a